If you love playing any outdoor sports and want to keep score, I want to show you how to build a scoreboard wall with some simple things that you can find. If you're not so much into the sport, you could also use it as a menu wall or anything you might want to take notes on outside. Make sure to subscribe for any future videos and follow along. Wait, follow and subscribe, the same thing. You know what to do. Thanks. So to build a scoreboard wall in your yard is a great way to end a play space or end a bocce ball court or any sort of sports area. So for this project, I ended up using 4x4 pressure treated posts to create a simple frame. To start the framing of the project, I'm using a 2x6 and a 2x2 and attaching them together. And this is going to be the top rail and the bottom rail to begin the framing for this. After you attach your 2x6 and your 2x2 together, you're going to want to add it to the framing structure. Go ahead and line up the top one first, and then the second one will depend on how big your tiles are. We're using porcelain tiles that are roughly 2x2, but those are not true dimensions, so make sure that you measure the tile that you have. Ours are 23 3/4, and so I'm going to put that bottom frame right at that level. One of the units of 2x6 and 2x2s, you're going to find your bottom level. We measured up 36 inches, which is a great height to write or start your wall. So we are attaching from the back side of our post, and you want to make sure you use your speed square or something to make sure that it's one level, but two also square to the post. Now, depending on the size of your tile, that will determine the top of your structure. So we're using 2x2 porcelain tiles, and our tiles are actually 23 3/4 inches or something similar to that. So the top of our frame will measure to that, so that way we can attach that to the top and it'll be ready for our tiles. I recommend adding some Corbels for additional support, and so you can use a 2x6 or 4x4, whatever you would like, and you're basically cutting a little wedge that's going to attach to the 4x4 post and to the bottom framing, and this just helps distribute the weight, especially because the porcelain tiles, they're a little heavy. Not too bad, but a little bit. Now it's time to place our porcelain tiles. We are going to push them against the 2x2s in the back so they can rest against there, and you're going to have about 1/4 inch spacing in between each of them. For this design, we have 3 separate ones, but of course you can always customize this design with 1 tile, 2, 3, or more, depending on whatever you need it for. Next, we want to add metal strapping, and this is what's going to lock your porcelain tiles in place, plus it looks kind of nice and clean. But before you do that, I recommend pre-drilling. So you want to drill about 3/4 in from the bottom and the sides, on the bottom and on the top. Now that you've pre-drilled, you want to secure them to the porcelain tiles, or really it's the framing. That 1/4 inch gap that you left is where you'll line up your strap, and you'll use a 1 inch screw to go ahead and screw in on the top and the bottom, and that will tie right into that 2x2 that is supporting the back of these porcelain tiles. To additionally secure the porcelain tiles, you're going to want to add some framing on either side next to the 4x4 post. We ended up using some cedar, and that one just locks in the corner of the porcelain tile by attaching to the 4x4 frame. Next, you want a router on the bottom part of the frame, that 2x6. You're going to take a router and a bit to create a dado cut along the edge, and this is where you're going to house your pens and erasers and stuff like that. It's just a nice detail to add. So that pretty much wraps up a very simple scoreboard. I recommend using dry erase markers. You can wipe them off. If they sit there a little long, you might need a little Windex to wipe them off, or to get it a little bit more loose and then wipe them off with a paper towel. I also recommend potentially sealing if you don't have a nice glassy finish, or if your tiles are a little porous, it's not going to work very well. So test it out on your tiles before you pick out the ones that you want, but the majority of porcelain tiles should work fairly well for this application. So enjoy. Let me know if you have any more questions, or if you have any more ideas on how this scoreboard potentially could fit into your backyard. And if you have any questions, write them below, and thank you for subscribing if you haven't already.